Hi there, everybody. Matt Barrie back again on the ESPN College Football YouTube channel. Hope everyone's having a great week. I want a couple messages before we get started here on the Week 2 preview. First, thanks for everyone hopping in on our Sunday content. I know the conversation with myself and Finebaum, a lot of people enjoyed that. And then my favorite, of course, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I got great reviews. We're going to do it every week. I've got a special Bloody Mary mix given to me, homemade by someone this week. So those are going to be weekly segments here on the College Football YouTube channel. So thank you for everyone who's hopped on, watched, given feedback, and viewed our videos. That's part one. Part two, I'm never going to be this formal again. My apologies. Got back late from Sports Center, and I figured just a plain white shirt to talk football wouldn't have done it. I was too lazy to change, so I'm going to be formal on this week's Week 2 of the college football season. Also, I understand some people want Finebaum to wear a hat on next week's taping, so we'll see if we can do the opposite of shirt and tie and do really informal Finebaum, which I've got to tell him it is a video medium, so people will be seeing it. So we'll see if we can work that out for you next week. Let's start Week 2. Before I get into Week 2, I want to recap a couple of things from Week 1 quickly because we had games on Sunday and we had games on Monday. I want to start off with Sunday, Florida State, LSU, Brian Kelly's debut. What a game it was. It was an absolute all-time classic coming down to the end in the block extra point. Jaden Daniels didn't look great for most of the game for LSU, led them on that 99-yard drive when it mattered most. And then Florida State looked like they were going to steal defeat from the jaws of victory after fumbling near down the goal line. And it was a classic. And LSU fans have been really hard on the Brian Kelly situation after one game, which I get it. It's the SEC, but I don't get it because it's one game. He's going to have to build that thing after what happened at the tail end of the Ed Orgeron era. He's going to have to recruit. He's going to have to lay his foundation, and he's going to have to build this thing back to what it was in 2019, and it's not going to be easy. Now, having said that, there were some things within the game that didn't make any sense, but give credit to Mike Norvell, give credit to Florida State. They almost lost a game they had no business losing, but it's year 3 for him. I had touched on it. Like some of these coaches that are in year 3, year 4 have a lot to prove. And getting that win, national television audience, all to yourself in the manner with which they got it. Hats off to Mike Norvell in Florida State. And we'll see what Brian Kelly does from there. And look, when you come through an emotional week, and I'll start there with a team like LSU, Florida State's on a bye, so they kind of get to ride that momentum going into their next opponent after taking this week off. But a team like LSU, they've got Southern. They're going to win that game. How do you come back after an emotional week is a big thing to watch as we move into Week 2. Clemson, I'll touch on quickly Monday night. A lot of the story in that one, DJ Uiagalelei and that Clemson offense, is it going to be better than it was a year ago? I think the answer to that is it looked the exact same in the first half. Third quarter started to pick it up a little bit. They created a little bit of separation. Cade Klubnik, the 5-star kid out of Texas, came in. The offense had some punch with him. If there's one quarterback situation to watch other than Michigan with J.J. McCarthy starting this week, Cade McNamara got to start a week ago, but keep an eye on what's going on at Clemson because while DJ picked it up in the second half, I don't know that still from an execution standpoint, it's what Clemson's looking for. New offensive coordinator with Tony Elliott gone. The receivers need to step up, but watch Clemson this week against Furman and how long it takes for DJ to get into rhythm and then how long it takes for them to put in Klubnik. I know a lot of people are comparing this to a few years ago when Kelly Bryant was the starter and a true freshman by the name of Trevor Lawrence was sitting there waiting in the wings. By week 4, they announced that Trevor was going to be the full-time starter so Kelly could transfer. He did. He ended up transferring to Missouri. So there's a quarterback situation to watch with Clemson. DJ's the guy for now, but how long will that be? It remains to be seen. Clemson gets the win against Georgia Tech. That wrapped up Monday Night Football, which puts us in kind of a short work week here for Week 2 of the college football season. And like I said before, always keep an eye on teams emotional in Week 1 relative to their opponent in Week 2. neither Alabama or Texas had that. Alabama won 55-0. They looked really good, but now they go to Austin to take on Texas, who has talent. Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in the country. Quinn Ewers. We know the kid came in with hype. How do they do on a national television stage now with everyone watching them? Look, Alabama's topped about, I've said this on this page before, they've got the two best players in the country, Bryce Young and Will Anderson Jr. How do they handle Texas, a team of that caliber, come into their yard? College game day is going to be there. Big noon kickoff is going to be there. Every pregame show in America is going to be there. And it's a national stage for Sark in year 2. He used to coach with Nick Saban at Alabama, won a national championship with Nick Saban at Alabama. So this game hits close to home for him. It opened up at a 17.5-point spread. As of this taping late Wednesday afternoon, it's up to 20. And so a lot of people believe this is going to be another Alabama blowout. And I don't think Texas is going to win, but I am interested to see how they handle the moment. How they handle the moment in year 2 of Sark with a little bit of a roster turnover to get his guys in there. So Texas, Alabama, noon Eastern, first game I'm keeping an eye on because of the star power at quarterback and because of the star power with brands of both of these programs. Next game I'm keeping an eye on, and it has a little bit to do with what I was saying a moment ago about emotional week 1 to avoid letdown in week 2. That's where Arkansas comes in. Noon Eastern, ESPN against South Carolina. South Carolina got the win week 1 against Georgia State. Close at first. Spencer Rattler and company via special teams and Beamer ball pulled away late. But now they go to Fayetteville to take on Arkansas, who beat Cincinnati in week 1. Now, off-season wise, everything always leads up to that first game, right? You've got spring ball, same first game. You've got training camp, same first game. And when it's a playoff team like Cincinnati was a year ago, it's easy. It's easy to be motivated for that game. And it came down to the end between those two. How does Arkansas respond? They moved up to 16th in the rankings. They've been one of those trendy preseason teams to click and a pick to click in the SEC West. Maybe surprise a lot of people. But I'll tell you, with what Shane Beamer has going in Columbia and the overall belief behind what he's building, getting Spencer Rattler in there, having talent on both sides of the ball. This one's interesting. It's 8.5. Arkansas is the favorite, but watch out in Fayetteville. Watch this game because people may be not paying attention enough to South Carolina while Arkansas is getting all the hype. But as a theme of the week 2 preview, week 1 high for Arkansas, don't sleep on another SEC opponent. So keep an eye on South Carolina, Arkansas at noon Eastern. Want to get into some of our ranked on ranked matchups this week. 3:30 Eastern, Tennessee and Pittsburgh. Now, if you remember last year's Tennessee-Pittsburgh game, Kenny Pickett goes into Knoxville. This thing was a classic shootout. And Pittsburgh ended up winning. It was kind of that signature win they had to make people believe that perhaps last year was a little bit different than years past in Pittsburgh. And it goes back to the theme, emotional week 1. You have the backyard brawl for the first time in 11 years. It's an all-time classic. You get the win. You have some extra days to rest for everybody to tell you how good you are. And now Tennessee comes to your yard ranked year 2 under Josh Heupel with Hendon Hooker playing the way he's capable of playing. This game, to me, above all the other ones, has the potential to be the most entertaining and the most intriguing because of last year's storyline, because of the week 1 storyline, and Keaton Slovis and some of these transfers at Pitt getting an opportunity to play an SEC opponent in Tennessee. There's going to be points. And it's completely contrasting styles between what Josh Heupel does at Tennessee relative to what they do at Pitt and their offensive coordinator, Frank Cignetti Jr. It's run the ball. It's pound the ball. It's eye back. It's old school football. Then you got Tennessee, who tries to score on every play. And Pitt, by the way, who's got one of the best defensive lines in the country. So keep an eye on this one. Pitt, Tennessee, it's not getting the national attention, say, of Alabama, Texas, but Mark it down. This game, by the way, Tennessee's a 6.5-point favorite on the road. If Pitt can get by the Volunteers on Saturday, they're in store for another special season. Let's keep it SEC for a moment. Talk Kentucky, Florida. It's funny how when you set a kind of a talking point for the college football week and you look at week one and some of the emotion that happens because we've got 9 months of pent up football frustration and we're just the idiot fans that are just clamoring for it. Think about the players. So now you've got some teenage college football athletes who have waited all year for an opportunity to play in a game. And then you have the Florida-Utah game, which goes down to the final minute in Billy Napier's debut. And now Florida's arrived. They're up to 12th in the latest rankings. And people wondering how legit the Gators are. You can't celebrate against Utah for too long because in comes Tennessee and Will Levis. Look at this game from Heisman Trophy perspective, from NFL draft perspective, from Billy Napier Foundation perspective, even from Mark Stoops having Kentucky as a legitimate program in the SEC East. You have Florida, emotional high, new coach, trendiest quarterback in the country, Anthony Richardson. And then you've got Kentucky, upstart of late in the SEC East. Will Levis, 3 touchdowns a week ago. These two early on in an SEC East game that's going to be incredibly important once we get into October and November. And so early scheduling, I love the way the schedule works out. For Florida, you get Utah, and then you get a ranked Kentucky team back-to-back weeks. If Florida can pull this off, if they can get back-to-back wins against ranked teams in their own yard in Billy Napier's first season, look, they're not going to beat Georgia, or they're not going to have a season this year, I don't think, that's going to get them into the conversation for an SEC East championship to play in the SEC championship. But what better way to start if you're Napier and the Gators to get 2 ranked wins to start the season? That one's 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Kentucky, Florida, from quarterback alone, from NFL scouts alone. Keep an eye on this one because I have a feeling come about 10:15 of the Swamp on Saturday night, we're going to be down to another great finish. Finally, the nightcap, ESPN, 10:15 Eastern. I have a love-hate with 10:15 Eastern games that matter on ESPN. I'll peel back the curtain for you. I'm in studio all day Saturday with Jess Palmer and Joey Galloway. We get in there at 11:30 a.m. and we begin our day doing halftime, post-game / pregame shows throughout the day and the afternoon. So our first game, noon window, then we get a 3:30, then we get a primetime 7 p.m. game, and then we get the nightcap. Well, sometimes the nightcap, the 10:15 game, isn't the biggest. And so you can get away with maybe taping some of the halftime to get ready for college football final. Well, when you've got 9 against 21, Baylor against BYU, this game from kick to finish is going to have our attention, which means it's going to be a late night, later than normal. It's a completely selfish ploy, but the game's going to be good. And I don't know that there's a program in the country that maybe Wisconsin is a team that comes to mind, and maybe Iowa when they're not scoring 7 points with a field goal and 2 safeties. There isn't a team that knows their identity more than BYU. Jaron Hall's back at quarterback. It seems as if every year they turn out a star running back, they're going to smack you in the mouth and they're going to play really good physical football. Take that against Baylor with Dave Aranda, and it's the exact same thing. Big 12 champions come in, they're physical, they're going to smack you in the mouth, and they're going to make you earn every single yard you can get. And so that's why this one, 10:15 Eastern Saturday on ESPN, is going to be so much fun to watch. I would bet, by the way, Baylor BYU, I don't know that there will be a harder hitting game in the country in terms of physicality than Baylor and BYU, merely because of their DNA. Kalani Sitake expects it. Dave Aranda, a defensive guy, expects it. This one, at the end of the day, when you've had all your drinks and you've yelled at your TV and you've lost all of your bets and you're just kind of grizzled by the football afternoon, this game is going to be perfect for you to let out all your frustration because it's going to be so physical. You're going to be able to hear it on the TV. So 10:15 Eastern, Baylor BYU. Strap it up for this one because it's going to be an absolute fight. Say a prayer for your boy Matt because it's going to be a long night. And I say that as I'm sitting here thinking about I'm just going to be getting paid to watch college football. So it's really going to be fun. Lack of sleep, I expect that. I'll sleep in February. So week 2, again, keep an eye on Alabama, Texas. That's going to be a big one. Keep an eye on South Carolina paying a visit to Fayetteville. Got another one, Tennessee, Pittsburgh. That one's going to be fun. Kentucky, Florida. That one's going to be great. And then the nightcap, BYU, Baylor. Get out of here with this week's schedule isn't great. I think this week's schedule is very, very good. Does it have an Ohio State, Notre Dame type matchup? Well, probably not. We're not going to get that every week, but it's got plenty of good football to keep you busy here. Week 2 of the season on the ESPN College Football YouTube channel.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.